All right. So here we are. Still no Anna. Friday, January 28th. You all saw that. You all saw that. Some of you are going to have nightmares about this. Um, Kathleen, you're going to be a little bit handicapped, I think, with some of this because just like I am, I'm in a small space. Catherine, you can go all over your deck with these crawls. Okay. So that's going to be kind of fun. So if you get the more space you got, we can just kind of go around in circles in our small space. And you can even, I've done this in crowded situations where you're just kind of moving around on your mat. Right. So I'll show you all that. But yeah. So if Anna shows up, I'll show her my stretches. If not, the crab walk, we probably remember from
my shoulder, my right shoulder's split. We'll see.
Okay. Yeah, these look this. There's a guy who hates these. The first time I made him do them, he couldn't move from here. He could not move. He was just stuck. And 5 years later, he's trying to keep up with the kids now. But the crab walk, we want to try and keep the hips up a bit, shoulders are back, and we're going to walk around. Now, hand position is interesting for wrists. Generally, if your fingers are trailing the direction of movement, so if I'm coming towards the camera, my fingers are pointing away, and if I go backwards, so now I'm moving away from the camera, my fingers are pointing toward the camera, okay? And you can play with that. The hand position will affect your wrists, your shoulders, your elbows, but the other thing to play around with is side to side movement, backwards, right? So you can do like little circles or squares, even in a small space. But if you got room to run, go with it. We're doing laps around the Corsi's basement the other night with these. But yeah, you can go forward, backward, etc., etc. So that's the crab walk. This is like the straight bridge on steroids. All right, really opens up chest and upper back. And again, I have a client who hates those, but deals with them because it's made a noticeable change in how his shoulders move. So from here, we'll go 5 half kneeling windmills each side. And again, if you want to do the standing version, feel free. I feel like my hips need the half knee version today. I don't know, might be wrong, but remember we're going from train tracks, opening 90 degrees out to the right side, bells going up the right arm in this case, and then down using the hips to the elbow. And all the work is being performed by the glutes. Of course, keeping your spine stable, but letting it rotate. Shoulders should be sliding down the rib cage. These feel pretty good on this side. So I want to say several years ago, Catherine kind of classified these as animal movements, but several, maybe 8-10 years ago, there was a movement that started cropping up in personal training. And it was kind of that. Animal movements. Flow. Animal flow was another one. Primal move. But all these crazy things came up like that. And there were people that would just go to a soccer field or a football field and crawl end to end, side to side for hours. That was their workout. Side plank with a crunch. Remember, you get the shoulder above the hand. Don't have a big gap here. Armpit tight. You're connecting the armpit, the shoulder, to the hip with all of this muscle. Bottom leg's behind you. Crunch up 8 reps. Squeeze and open. Right? You want to get that stretch on the backside. Squeeze the armpits tight. But some of the big thrust, the beginning of the crawling movement, was when the industry saw something interesting. Stroke patients were traditionally, I worked with one, and what we knew was, left arm non-functional, work the left arm, right? Even if you have to manually manipulate it. It wasn't working. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't working. So somebody thought, can we reboot the brain? A stroke is kind of a short circuit of the brain. Maybe we blew a circuit board. Maybe we need a reboot like a computer. So they started investigating rolling around on the floor. Essentially mimicking what a baby does in the first 3 to 5 years of life. So they would take a 70-year-old stroke patient or a 50-year-old stroke patient, didn't matter, and they'd lay them on the floor. And they'd have them put their hands over their head and tell them to roll over. Or put their hands by their sides and roll over and go the other way. And then they had some other variations. So somebody was watching babies in a crib learn to roll from front to back. Right? That's the first thing babies do. Get their head up, roll, and then they try to plank up. And what you see a lot of times, somebody was showing me this the other night, they were watching it, and they were fascinated, because this baby, just starting to crawl, or just learning to crawl, was doing bird dogs. Trying to figure out how to cross-stabilize the body, opposite knee, opposite hand, so that they could locomote, so they could move. And it was interesting to watch. But all that animal stuff, that's where it came from. We just started looking at what kids did, because in the first 2-3 years of life, we birthed this little blob that has no control and is completely dependent on everything. And without any coaching, Steve doesn't come and teach them how to do anything, right? They learn to defy gravity. In some cases, climbing out of a crib and scaring mom and dad to death, right? But that's what they did. Without coaching, without help, they learned to squat and deadlift, stand, walk, run. And they found that if they took the brain of a stroke patient back to that, they'd get increased function back faster. So all of a sudden, crawling became the thing, because it was good in physical therapy for stroke patients. And so much of what we do in the exercise world, that's where it got its start. Even a lot of the diet stuff, it comes from studies done with geriatrics. And when we learned that an 85-year-old woman could actually increase her muscle mass with 3 20-minute workouts a week and a little bit more protein in her diet, the bodybuilders went nuts. They're like, wait, if an 85-year-old woman can do it, a 25-year-old man can do it too. Only more. And they were right. The straight bridge is for 13. And then we're going to do the bear crawl. And the bear crawl is very different than the way you see it done, at least my way. And I should probably call it the Russian bear crawl. But it is different, and when you look at the different categories of crawls, the bear is very different from the rest, but you'll feel it differently, and it's a good thing. This would be a good one for, oh, there I see Anna. Like the bear crawl may help with her hips. All right, I think there's about 13. So, crab walk, we know we're backwards. Bear crawl, we're going to be face down, essentially in a very sharp down dog position to start. So here we want legs straight, arms straight, and then we're not going to bend the elbows or the knees. We're just going to lumber, right? So I'm lifting by pushing up with a toe, pulling with the hip, and just kind of swinging my legs under my body, popping the arms out. And the same thing, sideways, backwards, but keep the knees, keep the elbows straight.
Want equal weight to beats in between hands and legs.
Well, yeah, you're moving. Just start moving. I don't know if I'd think too much about the weight, and even how you move. Are we alternating hands and feet like a bear? Yeah, generally works better. Try the backwards version. You'll feel hamstrings light up differently. But these, imagine taking this crawl for 100 yards forward and 100 yards backwards in your workout.
Backwards is hard.
And you're going to find your arms, your shoulders, your legs will just burn right out fast. So, it's the bear crawl. All right, so knee tucks on the ball, or the TRX if you got one, or sliders on the floor. Again, knee tuck, remember, you do, hips stay down. And this is going to play in right here. Remember this position. This is going to play into the cat crawl. Now, some people will put leopard or lion or whatever, but cats generally move about the same way. And this is going to play in, this knee tuck action is going to play in to the cat crawl. All right, that's 13. And then leg curls, hips up, ball moving, as opposed to ball not moving, hips moving. So hips go up, stay up, and we straighten and bend the knee. Also 13 reps. Anna might remember doing some of the crawls at Mob. She might fear the Spider-Man or the lizard crawl. Spidey.
I do.
Well, I figure we got to do some of these before we get there. Because that's like a moving low plank. Oh. Okay. I'm sweating bullets. Split squats. Load, no load, your choice. But if you're going to load it, you get two options. You could go rack, in which case you put the weight over the front leg. Okay, like so. Or you could hold it goblet style with both arms in front. Try to feel the stretch in the leg and the back as you're going down. And make sure you squeeze that glute coming back up. Whew. Yes, it is essentially 16 squats. I know somebody's counting, but it's different action on each leg. So the back leg's getting stretched and worked. Front leg's getting worked. Okay. Bicycle. Need some water. Water. Okay. Slow on the bike crunch. Remember the straight leg, barely hovering off the floor as we cross. So while you can't do it, still think about pulling your tailbone up off the floor with the bent knee. Shoulder blade comes up and across. Push long, push hard through the wall. Really flex all the muscles in that straight leg as you come up. Final abuse with the stability ball, pike up. Again, knee tuck if you're not there yet. But again, you can try forearms or straight arms. Forearms will feel more stable, but your shoulders will feel tighter. Straight arms, you'll feel less stable, but you might feel like you can move your shoulders better. Just 8 reps. And a new client tried these the other night. She's like, I can't do that. And she popped right up like she was going to do a handstand. That's when we found out she had gymnastic experience. Little brat. We're all struggling. Woo! Okay. So now, cat crawl. Cats crawl and move differently. Their knees articulate under their torso, and their hips and shoulders stay relatively level, maybe a little higher in the hips, depending on the cat, a little higher in the shoulders. So I just typify those as a level torso, and then everything happens under the body. So the idea that I throw out when we're planking of putting a water bottle on your back or a small sleeping baby or angry cat works really well here. You want to be able to put your glass of wine on your back and move around with your knees, like the stability ball knee tuck, coming under your torso. And then play around with moving all left or left and right alternating, right? You may find one move works better for you. And, you know, cats, if you watch them, they will walk either way, and then they run differently. So you're just trying to keep the hips and shoulders about the same height off the floor, which means you got to pull your knees up under your stomach, like the knee tuck. So it challenges your ankle flexibility, hips. Yeah. And that's the cat crawl. That's a healthy round. Certainly room for a second one in most people's lives. So do another one. I'll see you guys Monday. Happy snowstorm.